Offload. Boom. All right. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to The Hook. Let's talk MLR. Major League Rugby going on in the United States right now. This is big stuff, man. So if you haven't been catching it, I'm on Earful of Dirt Fancast. Look it up on YouTube in the search bar. We're on SoundCloud at Earful of Dirt. We're on Acast. I think we're on Stitcher. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere. So, we do a live show usually on Monday nights. We switch from Sundays. We go live at 11 p.m. Eastern right now. When the time switches, we'll go live at 10 p.m. Eastern, remaining 8 p.m. Arizona time. Awesome. So, yeah, check out Earful of Dirt Fancast. It's a big deal. Now, going back, let's look at all the things I said about, ducks in a row. So we thought, the group of us, as well as some other people, thought that Major League Rugby was going to have a press conference on the 15th of August. That did not occur. What did occur was Austin Elite Rugby announced their full rebranding from Huns Rugby Management. So they separated commercially, completely from Huns RFC. A lot of that had to do with attracting further investors into the ownership group, because full control of commercial intellectual property is a very important piece of this whole organization, not just Austin Elite Rugby, but Major League Rugby. You've seen every single organization that has ties to clubs has been separated. Separate companies have been formed, and their professional side or their amateur side, in one case, has been rebranded. So Seattle Saracens remain an amateur club, but the Seattle Seawolves brand was launched. Glendale Raptors as a brand, that remained the Raptors because the city of Glendale chose to establish a new brand for their amateur program. However, what is a merlin? A merlin's just the smallest bird of prey out there. It's a hawk, just like, a raptor is. Whereas the raptor is like the largest bird of prey out there. So that says a lot. So they're staying with the bird of prey theme, and so we move forward. Austin Elite Rugby became Austin Elite Rugby. Huns RFC remains the Huns RFC. They're still connected. Players will still move, in between. Big program, man. Austin Huns and now Austin Elite. We're talking, there's probably going to be 200 rugby players between Division 1 through Division 3, Huns RFC, plus, the Austin Elite Rugby. And then you've got this unknown San Diego team. I don't know what they'll be called yet. They haven't launched their social media, but I can confirm that all their bonds for the league have been paid so far, so they're ready to go. They're getting spun up. Pretty sure I know who the coach is going to be. Reached out to him, waiting on the confirmation, and we'll get him on either the Hook live or on an Earful of Dirt lineouts. All right. Also, Rugby Utah Selects. They rebranded to the Utah Warriors. That name has significant historical significance to rugby in the state of Utah. There previously was a pretty successful team in the Super League called the Utah Warriors back in about 2011. After one season, they folded as a Super League team. We're still playing together. And then in 2012, when the Super League folded, so did the Utah Warriors. So, it digs into the heartbeat of what Utah is about, especially with the it is Mormon country. So if you look into the Book of Alma, it talks about warriors. So very culturally in tune name. And then Houston Strikers, they're separate because they didn't come from a connected club. They used to be a club back in, like, I think the 70s and 80s, and several of those alumni came back together to form this ownership group and launch a professional brand. NOLA Gold Rugby Club. It has ties to New Orleans Rugby Football Club, but again, separate commercial entity, separate brand. So that's very important here. Difference between, amateur athletics and commercial entities that are moving the game forward. Community rugby is very important to the entire organization, like I've said. So there are certain benchmarks that have yet to be discussed but are significant when it comes to financial support of youth rugby in the local area. Another big thing was a strategic partnership launched with Major League Rugby and the Red River Rugby Collegiate Conference. So what that means, I don't really know, but it was announced and it was ready to go. So you have all these the Texas-based teams that are in the Red River Rugby Conference and the Oklahoma and Louisiana teams that are also in the Red River Collegiate Rugby Conference. That I think what this means is, during the summer there will be academy opportunities for their U20 and U23 players to go get high-quality coaching. Also coaching development. That's going to be important. And, I really wanted to see something like this. I hope that's not the only one. And the Strikers, I think, are done with all of their signings. I think. They might, have one here or there. Still waiting on word to see when their foreign players come in. They had signed Osea Kalinisau, Joshua Vici, Charlie Hewitt, Connor Murphy, and who else was it? There was another one. Escapes my brain. But a lot of really good rugby players. Dallas fell out. They did not pay their bond. I don't really know what's going on because the coach that they had announced, Mike Ford, is in the States and taking strategic meetings with the University of North Texas. It makes me wonder, what did he get as part of his contract? Did he get ownership shares in the Dallas MLR club? Was it significant to the point where he could buy out the current managing partner? Did he bring in financial partners himself? Could we still see the Dallas Griffins show up in this league? Because from what I understand, they didn't pay their bond. It's kind of like go away. But if they, come up with the $750,000 that they need in 3 weeks to launch this, to pay up full their bond and their late fees, then they can play. However, the only two players that would be confirmed for them would be John Mills, who's a player coach on loan from London Scottish, and Mike Ford's son, Jacob Ford. So they haven't really signed a lot of players because I know for a fact that some of the players that they allegedly had signed make way more money than they would make in MLR. We're talking high-level accountants who make $150K that are playing club rugby right now that don't need this paycheck because it's not going to be enough. And back to New Orleans Gold. They've signed about 7 players. Most of the announcements seem disjointed, not all of them coming from the New Orleans Gold pressers, coming at games, coming on Facebook statuses. It's all kind of weird. Sort of not really concerning, but I think their philosophy is going to be a lot different, and because of that, I think it's going to be one of the weaker teams in the league. But after 3 or 4 years, I think they might have an athletic advantage. So as long as they can keep some of the dudes that they're going to bring in on the team, they're just going to be hyper athletic, especially in the pack and eventually in the back line. Because if you look at two programs in Louisiana that are college programs, you have LSU, and then you have LSU Alexandria. People call them varsity programs, but I wouldn't really use that term. I would say both well-budgeted, high-performance clubs. LSU Alexandria's funding comes purely from the school, which is great. LSU Rugby gets some student life funds, and then they get a lot of alumni money. So I think you're going to see a lot more of a Louisiana flavor on the New Orleans Gold. You're going to see a lot of probably some household football names from the state in their development program. So I had a call with Thierry Dupont from Austin Elite 2 weeks ago, and we discussed a bunch of things. They were like, yeah. So I was like, he said in an email to me, yeah, our coach should be here at this time. And then, they announced that after I thought it was somebody else, but it wasn't that guy. It's like, that makes no sense. But they're bringing in Alain Yardet from France. He had coached Clermont, Perpignan twice, Béziers, and this is a high level coach. After Laffy decided to retire, I was wondering what was up, but they're going to the next level with coaching. And that's what they wanted to do. Laffy was a great coach. He was a Super Rugby level coach. He was a national team level coach. So losing him stung a bit, and you really needed to replace him with someone as good. And I think after a while, Alain will be better. Specifically because he'll be there long term. Laffy was only there for 2 years before deciding to move back to South Africa, and I understand why. I mean, domestically, he was probably the most qualified person to lead the Eagles, and he didn't make the short list. So I really don't know where the Eagles coaching gig is going to be. They haven't announced it, and I think it's not really going to affect MLR that much. I guess they hired a club coach. I guess Dave Williams from Glendale? I don't know. Starting that rumor right now. Dave Williams from Glendale will be the Eagles coach. I don't know. I should ask him that. Should give him a call. We need to get him on a lineouts for Earful of Dirt. So, like I said, tremendous amount of content coming your way. I am making a trip with my girlfriend, Brooke. We're going to Central Texas for about a week October's in a few days, but a week in October, in mid-October. So I will definitely link up with Austin Elite Rugby as well as the Houston Strikers. And then I'm going to pay probably the greatest, one of the greatest rugby strength coaches out there, Ed Cosner. He lives in Houston. He coaches the Frank brothers. He coaches a bunch of the Strikers athletes. He's been the strength coach. He's been an assistant strength coach with the Spurs. So he's got rings everywhere, from NRL to Super Rugby to NBA. He builds athletes. So we're gonna have an interview with him coming up, and I think that gives you the great update on Major League Rugby, all the happenings. We're still waiting on coaches for the Seawolves and the Utah Warriors, but I think you're gonna like who they're gonna bring in based on connections. I think you're gonna have an Irishman come in for the Seawolves because their CEO is from Ulster, and then I'm hearing a New Zealand coach, and a coach from New Zealand is on the target for the Utah Warriors. So we'll really see what's up going forward, and that's it for the hook. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell me what you think. Where do you think we're going to go in year one? We've got 7 teams, 7 high-quality organizations, and, it's the beginning of a great year for American rugby. Go Eagles.